Suicide Squad is kinda dumb. It tried so hard to be not dumb and be cool and edgy and stuff, but because it tried so hard to be edgy and memorable, it ended up being not memorable and safer than it actually thought it was. First off, there are some things that felt like they had so much corporate interference. Like, there's a line in the trailer, which is also in the movie, that says, like, Will Smith is going like,
"Y'all jokers must be crazy."
Like, that doesn't feel real. Like, it doesn't feel like that line flows. It feels like it was meant to be something else. And then there's also the song choices. This movie wanted so bad to be Guardians of the Galaxy, but it just couldn't, because Guardians of the Galaxy knew what songs it was trying to do before it filmed the scenes. This movie just filmed the scenes and then decided the songs later, leading up to like 2 songs that actually fit. Those 2 songs being Without Me by Eminem and Heathens by 21 Pilots. Now, Heathens was only used in the credit scenes, and Without Me, like most of the other songs, was only used for like 2 verses, and then they faded on to the next song. Heathens, I like Heathens. I like Heathens a lot. And I feel like this movie should have felt more like that song does. Like, if you listen to that song, you know it's got like a distinct tone to it. And I feel like if this movie tried to go for that tone, it would probably be much better, because it wouldn't be trying to be something that it has no shot at being. And it would just like be its own thing, and it might actually turn out being better. Aside from that, this movie, you can tell it struggled to be PG-13. And by that I mean it feels like the studio had so much interference that it actually decreased the quality of the movie. Because the action scenes weren't very impressive, and like a character dies in like a pretty brutal way at one point, and there's like no blood. They just like had to stick with that PG-13 rating. It's kind of going back to the
"Y'all jokers must be crazy"
line that felt like it was trying to be something else. Like, that felt like it needed to be something else in order to like flow correctly and not feel as awkward. The last thing on the technical aspect I want to talk about is the editing. Now, the editing in this movie is awkward at best. I mean, it sort of reminds me of like a white dad who plays golf with trying to go into the hood, wearing his hat backwards and saying the N-word as the first word that he steps out of the car with. I mean, it doesn't make him cool. It just shows that he's trying way too hard and also might get him beat up. And that's how this movie feels. Now let's get on to like the storytelling aspects and stuff. The tone in this movie felt very inconsistent. The title cards for the characters, while I liked them very much, I thought they were very well created, they just felt out of place. The rest of the movie did not feel like that sort of fun, poppy vibe. That feeling of inconsistency stretches to the subtitles, where, you know what font they're using for subtitles? Impact. Yeah, I didn't think they were stupid enough to use Impact the first time I saw it, but after looking at it more, it's actually Impact. That's the edgiest choice you could use. Good job, Warner Brothers. You're very good at understanding the youth. Now, the Joker in this movie could have been so much better. There are some scenes that I liked with him, but most of them were kinda dumb. And Jared Leto, while he's a fantastic actor, I felt like his performance was rather embarrassing. I mean, not every performance has to be in every actor's best performances list, but this also isn't one of the best Jokers, so that certainly doesn't help matters. Now, what I am about to say may shock you. If you are over the age of 65 or viable to heart attacks, you may want to click away from this video. But I didn't think Jared Leto did as well as Heath Ledger. Now, this isn't exactly the levels of blasphemy that's saying I dislike The Matrix, but it's pretty up there, if I do say so myself. Because, I mean, who wasn't excited to see Jared Leto be the Joker? Oh wait, that was pretty much everyone. If I'm speaking on a purely technical aspect, he didn't do a terrible job, but if I'm talking about how much he reminded me of the Joker, that's a different matter. Jared Leto is to Joker as Jesse Eisenberg is to Lex Luthor. And again, on a technical aspect, he did fine, but when you're adapting a character, you also need to take into account how much the actor reminds you of that character. And in this case, he felt more like an entirely new creation than anything. And that just doesn't do it for me. I wanted him to be a lot creepier and a lot better than he was, but what I got was just not very good. Joker is pretty much the only memorable character, and not for the reasons that I wanted him to be. The other ones are just kinda wasted. Harley, well, I thought she was a good Harley. Like, Margot Robbie did a good job acting like Harley. Her jokes that she was given were so... That's some good cringe right there, dude. I mean, that joke's like, oh, sorry, it's just the voices. When that played out in theaters, I was like, are you kidding me? Is that what you're going for? There are so many jokes that would be so much cooler, and so much better, and so much funnier. And you go with one of those crappy, oh, it's the voices talking jokes. You know who makes those jokes? Edgy 13-year-old Hot Topic shoppers. With the emo haircuts. And they're so random, lol XD. Deadshot was one of the only really good characters, but mostly because he was Will Smith. And I like Will Smith, so I didn't particularly have a problem with him. And then El Diablo, he was probably my favorite. He had a pretty good backstory. He just felt like the most organic, real character. If there's one good thing that I can say about this movie, it's that they did El Diablo pretty well. Now let's get on to the characters that I didn't have as much appreciation for. Slipknot, he's not useful at all. And I don't know why he's in the movie. I don't know why they put him in any of the promotional stuff. Killer Croc and Captain Boomerang, they don't have much to do. They're just kinda there. Rick Flag, he feels like a useless liability who doesn't need to be there. Katana, wasted. Batman, wasted. Both of these characters felt like wasted opportunities. Katana could have had an emotional weight to her, but they spent 0 time developing the character, so it was basically pointless. Batman should have been played up as the person the villains all fear. Like, instead of being portrayed as a hero, they should have portrayed him as a villain. I mean, not that he was really portrayed as much in this movie anyway. I mean, he was more of there to just say, hello, I'm Batman, I exist in this universe. Goodbye, I'm Batman, I still exist in this universe, but I'm not here right now. You're gonna have to focus on all these uninteresting characters. Also, something that really confused me about Enchantress is that anytime she says Enchantress, the Enchantress part of her comes out. What if she's in a casual conversation and she's like, oh yeah, that was a great movie. I really liked The Enchantress. Oh, son of a... Overall, this movie feels unbalanced, uneven, and most importantly, unfun. And I'm gonna give this movie a 3 out of 10.